we love our hometown. We love working with you guys. We've been longtime partners, and you guys are always there right with us. So.
In part 2 of this interview, Matt Larson of Our Hometown Incorporated welcomes Payson Gaddis and Jim Dickerson of the Florida Weekly Group to discuss their mobile website as well as their native mobile app, plus working with Facebook news and audio content.
You were, I think, the first app that we ever developed. We had that app for years. We recently redesigned it. But before we get to that, let's also just quickly look at the website. I interviewed Jim about a year ago on this redesign, and I just remember at the time just really being struck by how it's all about the mobile interface. Because, I mean, this desktop site looks great. Really highlights images well. It's very clean. But I think this is just like the gold standard in terms of a mobile site. I mean, you've got 2 functions you can do at the top, really lean, straightforward, even though you got a ton of stuff you packed in to the menu because there's a lot on the desktop site. It has a mobile first design feel to it. It seems like the desktop site really came after.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, we spent a lot of time with you guys developing this, and This is a mobile world we all live in. And the scrolling aspect that Twitter and Facebook have trained the consumer to do is what we wanted the experience to be, where people are just scrolling, and as new articles come in, they're refreshing to this newsfeed type of experience. So, we've been working through that. We've seen great metrics, great analytics. We're also working now with Facebook News, and we're seeing some nice engagement in that. And our stories are starting to show up in the Facebook local news. It's a very popular tool among people. Again, with what you see here, so this July's top producers that John R. Wood announced, for some reason, somebody came by one of those touchless displays in a doctor's office. Again, we know it's going to be on a mobile device, right? So if they have a QR code that they scan or they want to read that complete story, we want to drop them right into that so they can scroll through that story and then maybe catch a few other stories and see an ad for Nike shoes and buy some.
Beautiful. That is awesome. Yeah, so they would drop right directly into the story from that QR code. Then you got the email sign up. I mean, I wanted to kind of mention this. Is email a big focus of yours? I mean, I'm not sure how many newsletter subscribers you have, but just to put this right at the top of the mobile site, I would imagine you had quite a few signups.
It is a big focus for us. So, I mean, mobile is a high priority, but so is email. Personally, as an owner and operator of this business, oftentimes the first time I'll see our stories come through will be on the email edition. We all live in email. We all work at email. It'll probably be the first thing we do after we conclude this interview is to go right in and check for your email. So again, it's all one big ecosystem. So if we can capture somebody maybe who's never heard of Florida Weekly, maybe they just haven't read it in a while through a touchless display in the market. They go on our mobile site, they read this particular article and say, I'll sign up for their free email edition. And now we've got another touch point going. So we're keeping them engaged through that. We do have a lot of email subscribers. It continues to grow. So, we're happy with the metrics we're seeing there.
Yeah, let's just dig into that a little bit because, this is basic stuff for us. You and I, we've probably been following this newsletter program for years, but just for new publishers joining us, it's a weekly newsletter when we extract the stories, right, at a minimum. That you send out. Is there anything that you're doing in between the weekly updates?
We are not, but certainly depending on who the partner is, they could do a lot more with it. And there are certainly other publishers that do. I mean, we're a weekly news magazine more than we're a weekly newspaper.
Right.
So we don't produce content that's not in our weekly package. All of the content that we've ever done is what you see in the print edition. Yeah. And that's just our particular business model. And that's because we compete against 5 television stations, 2 daily newspapers, and radio stations, a number of other media outlets in our markets that we serve. So if we were in a small town in the Midwest and we were the local newspaper, we would be doing a lot more with you.
You've talked about how you're serving the mobile audience, through these interactive displays. I mean, are there any other ways that you're thinking about serving mobile? I mean, there's the native app, which I do want to pull up on the screen in a minute, but are there any other things kind of in your pipeline that you're hoping to develop?
Well, obviously the touchless displays is a huge investment and
Project.
I have not found another partner in the industry who's done this at the scale that we're looking to do it. I've not seen some other metro dailies do a little bit of stuff here and there, but we'll be pioneering something for the industry that I have not seen yet.
Right.
So we're all in on this project right now.
Right.
Like I mentioned, Facebook news is important. Other than email, Facebook is probably something the majority of consumers are in at some point during the day. And Facebook news and how they're working with publishers is there. We've also kind of kicked around more content creation and video. We're thinking about doing it's nothing new. There's been a lot of publishers who've done video content. We're looking at different ways as revenue sharing agreements are expanding in Facebook and in YouTube with publishers. So that's kind of on the background of some of the things we're doing, but our touchless displays is definitely in the forefront.
Gotcha. Okay. We're working on some updates for this. So you might be interested, just more options for laying out the images on the homepage. But I think you were the one that asked for the full width images, so you may not be interested in that. But I've got some interesting numbers for you here. I thought you might, because we're not feeding the stats of the app into Matimo, but I've got some right here. The Florida Weekly app total displays, we've got over 1,000 displays across iOS and Android, and virtually all those are active users. About 70% of them have been active in the last 30 days, which is better stats than I've seen for most apps. I mean, what would you say about the app? I mean, any feedback that you've gotten from readers or any feedback you have from me just as a publisher?
One of the things that is so important this day and age is the ability to share content and share it very easily.
Right.
And that's one of the things that we focused on with our hometown and the development is that the first thing you do in this day and age is when you read a story on mobile, you want to text it to your friend,
right,
who is very into bees, right? So you look at Rolodex and you say, oh, my friend Matt, he's really, really into bees. And we had a conversation about this over coffee a couple of months ago.
Right.
So see in the top right-hand corner how you can quickly touch that blue arrow and share this beekeeper story. And you can share it however you want to share it. So if you just want to share it privately with a close friend, you can dump it into a text. But if you want to share it with your whole Facebook friend group, you can do that very quickly. And then you can add your own content to it. So I would say the number one thing we focus on was being able to, one, scroll, just that natural experience within the app, but also to be able to share that content very quickly.
I'm wondering if we could track, I'm not sure if we're tracking that right now, but number of shares and people coming in from those links. But basically, we do the extraction for you every week, and then it automatically updates the website and the app. So those are integrated completely. They're updated at the same time. So it looks like, you're getting whatever ad revenue is coming from these ads on the app is going to be part of AdMob. So I don't know if you have to know.
We are getting network revenue through our mobile app. Okay. It's not anything exciting, but it essentially covers the cost of just maintaining the app is about what you can expect as a publisher.
And that's not bad for something that doesn't take any work. And then we've got the navigation on the left, all your categories, keyword search. Is there anything else that you're looking for in the app? Because I'm kind of at a stage where I'm mocking up some ideas. For example, ways to integrate our audio content. I'm really interested in pulling in those playlists into the app. Anything else that you're looking to do with an app, as we kind of are constantly redesigning it?
Yeah, at this particular point, just ongoing maintenance and development. I think where I'll see some engagement is with our mobile displays because everything is our touchless displays because everything is built around getting them into our mobile ecosystem. We may see things like a hotel may say, we'd like a video to play about the hotel's water park before they get into your content, things like that. So I think a lot will evolve on how we treat mobile once we get into them. You got to be careful about your investment in mobile. I'll just throw caution to other publishers there because you're competing against big tech who's
Right.
And depending on the size of your company, that's a monumental task to compete against big tech if you're not innovating just something totally different. As you know, I've experimented with our own mobile applications outside of Florida Weekly,
right,
in that competitive space. And what I've learned through that process in the early stages of mobile and content, there could have been a lot of really exciting innovation there. But big tech is they've got so much of the consumer screen time, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, so forth and so on, that I've come to the conclusion, if you can't beat them, join them and build on their audiences. So I would say what we're focused on is how do we build on their platforms rather than trying to innovate something new into our own platform, because so much of the general public screen time is going to be inside of those ecosystems. Yeah.
So, I mean, that kind of brings us back really quick, because we were talking about it this morning, Facebook News. So, because I know that was a problem for a while with, was it just Fort Myers? Like we had an issue getting into Facebook News, didn't we?
We did. And somehow through Jim and Megan, we solved that problem. So now if you go into Facebook, and you go into your local news feed, we are populating in there, in and among the television stations and the other media outlets. So if I go into local now, Wink News is a CBS affiliate in this market, but we're seeing our stories show up inside of this feed. Yep. So if you go down here, you may see, there's Bonita Springs Florida Weekly. So if you click on that Florida Weekly story, it's going to bring you into our mobile site.
Perfect. Look at that. I love it. Okay, so what happened there, Jim? I got to ask, because we've had other publishers with this issue. We were literally just talking about how we can put together a troubleshooting guide for publishers, or even hopefully just do it for them. Connect them with all these news networks. Google News, that should be part of the setup process, and it hasn't always been unless they ask for it. So what did you do? Was there one thing to resolve this issue? Because I don't know, it may be a similar thing that other publishers come across.
I think that Megan, when she went and checked hers, it was working. Yep. So something happened because I didn't do anything at that point. So
what are your thoughts on this, Payson? The website itself gets an average, probably very typical. People come onto the site, they bounce pretty quick after a minute or two on most news sites. On your app, though, you're getting about 8 minutes average time spent on the app. 8 minutes and 15 seconds. Why do you think it would be like that, just on average? I mean, is it just that the people that download the app are more engaged? Or is the app somehow more conducive to keeping them on the site longer?
I think it's, again, we're more news magazine than newspapers. So think of your own behavior as a consumer. I mean, there's a lot of headlines we all get in the day, and a lot of us are going from headline to headline to headline, and we bounce.
Right.
Our stories aren't designed that way. They're in depth. So we don't report about a traffic accident.
Right.
We might just get the headline and bounce. We report about a traffic study on road widening and analyze traffic incidents over a period of time. So it's going to take you more time with that article.
One other thing before I let you go, Payson, I wanted to just check and see, we could show you what we're working on with some of this audio stuff. It would be worth you reconsidering this again, just to maybe try on Fort Myers or something, because we're now putting together these playlists. I mean, it's a big difference than what it was before, where you just have the article level player, so you can listen to one story at a time. I mean, now we can put together a playlist of your whole edition, and we're working on ways to dynamically insert audible ads. Would you be open to trying audio articles again with this functionality?
Yes and no. It depends on our touchless display strategy, because
I was wondering how we could tie it in. Yeah.
Right. Because so with touchless displays, typically the merchants, or where they're going to be at, is not going to want to have the audio going. Think if you're at a doctor's office and you got all this you're approved for,
Right. Yeah, that would be like when you go onto a website and audio just starts playing, you don't know where it's coming from. That's like a real live version of that.
I think the doctor would call us the next day and say, get this thing out of here. So
yeah.
I would say depends on your business model. For some publishers, I think audio articles is great. The things that you're doing with it are really innovative and exciting. Again, we're more of a news magazine, and we stick true to our DNA. As you've known, we've been partners for 15 years.
Yeah.
We haven't deviated much in our formula in 15 years. We've only just built on that formula. It's a successful, proven formula. It works for our particular markets. We're a restaurant with a few things on the menu, but we do them really well. Everybody knows that they can come to us for this really great steak. But we're not going to add fried chicken on the menu in fried rice or whatever. We stick to that formula.
Yeah.
And then we build on the technology from there.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I don't see a way for it to tie in, honestly, with that project you're focused on. So it would just be, something to supplement. But yeah, I don't mean to put you on the spot at all about it. I am honestly just curious. A few people that tried it and then discontinued it because there was no revenue behind it. And I just like to circle back to those folks when there's new features as we keep changing it.
Hi, Payson. Hi, Jim. Nice to see you guys again.
Hi, Terry.
When you're approaching your advertisers for your touchless format there, it kind of occurred to me that rather than presenting page views, now you're presenting foot traffic as a means to sell to advertisers, like your hybrid model. They'll be on the website and print, and now they're in, the airport lobby. Is that how you're presenting that to your potential advertisers?
Certainly we will. It'll have to evolve. Our first phase will be, we used to be in this location with a hard copy. Now we're in there with a touchless display. That's phase one. Once we have several of these in market, it becomes a whole different conversation, as you can expect. And there's a whole different set of tools that we can introduce. I don't have that information because we're just so early in the process. It's a great question, and I like the way you're thinking about it. And we're certainly thinking about that as well. So I suspect if we have the same interview 6 months from now, we're going to have a lot more things to share.
Awesome. We'll do a follow-up.
On that. So looking into your crystal ball, how do you see this going? Do you think you're going to see more traffic, say a doctor's office or a hotel, in comparison to picking up a print edition?
I think in many cases we will. Let's take an airport, for example. Next time you board a flight, I remember sitting at a seat and looking to my left and right, and we saw this everywhere, right? This is what you saw while waiting at your gate. You just don't see that anymore.
And when it comes to snapping a QR code, it's probably a whole lot easier than walking over to, 10 feet to pick up a print edition.
Yeah. And you know what? The nice thing about airports is they may then engage with it, download the edition on their mobile app and read it while they're still on the plane. So I don't know. We're adapting to what it is. And I guess I could close with this in the interview is Kodak, we all know, is a fundamental case study of a business that didn't adapt.
Right.
But what they failed to realize is people still take pictures. In fact, people take more photos than they ever did, exponentially, than when film was the only option. So if Kodak would have recognized that the fact that people are going to continue to take pictures and just pivoted to how they wanted to do it, it'd still be a relevant business.
Well said. Yeah. How they wanted to do it. Yes.
Yeah. And when I'm gone and my great grandchildren are around, I will assure you, news content will still be here. People will still hunger for news. It is not going anywhere. In fact, more people are consuming more news than has ever happened at any time in my lifetime. So you just got to adapt. You got to give it to them how they want it. And we're fortunate that we live in a market and we do business in a market that still has a lot of demographic that enjoys a printed copy. But, as a young innovator in the industry, I'm going to get it to people how they want it. And right now, how people want their content is in these wonderful devices we all carry in our pockets. So I'm excited for the future. It's a great time to be in the business, and we love our hometown. We love working with you guys. We've been longtime partners, and you guys are always there right with us. So
Thank you,
It's,
Payson.
it's great to have a company like your firm that loves to change things and adapt, and appreciate you guys.
I appreciate it. That means a lot coming from you. And yeah, we go way back. I mean, you were with our hometown before I ever even joined the company. So to me, Florida Weekly is like our hometown's like premier customer, one of the most successful partners we've ever had. And it's really like a leader and innovator you are in this industry, and especially in the mobile space. So thanks for your time, and I really appreciate your thoughts. And we'll share this with our partners, and I'm sure they'll get a lot out of this interview. Thank you so much, Payson.
Great seeing you guys. Take care.
All right. Take care, man. See ya.